Hey guys, today I'm going to be reading some scary camping stories from Reddit. All of the authors should be credited, but let me know if they're not, and that way I can fix it. In the background, it's just going to be some Terraria gameplay from a new world. So let me know if you enjoy that gameplay. If you don't, I can play a different game. Thanks. Story 1 is from Art is the Answer. It was 2 a.m., pitch black, low fire. We heard rustling in the woods, flashlights went out, and all of a sudden a mole comes running towards us into the fire. We could hear the sizzling and we were screaming. The next day, the charred body was buried in a The next story is WDH662. The scariest was camping with my wife when a windstorm hit. I'm talking trees being blown over, branches falling to works, and a forest full of shadows. The creepiest was camping with my dog. We were in a semi-remote camping area. Driving would usually get to it, but only with a 4x4. It was a semi-maintained camping area, as in there were a couple of fire pits, a few rotten picnic tables, and a rundown house. Parks check this place once a year or so. So we get there and start setting up. Buddy wanders over to the shitter and opens the door. He stands there for a second or two and then closes the door. Goes to the second one, goes in, and comes out a few minutes. He came back to me and says, "Go check out that first one." I assume someone just shit on the floor or an animal got stuck in there and died. Nope. 3 full backpacks. And I'm talking big bags. The bag I have, that's the size I use for long trips. So, one note, we open them up. 2 are full of good quality gear, nothing unusual. The third is full of skills. Small packs, regular, tropical salads. Every flavor and size of bag. Just full of fucking skills. Camp recordings. Never saw a soul. Bags were still there when we left. We let the COs know when we got to civilization. Who left all that gear? Why did one person pack 80 meters of skills? I don't know. And then he also has another one. Dog and I went. Spur of the moment overnight trip. Wasn't far off the road or anything. So I just had to tarp up in a small shelter. Small but fun. It wasn't tiny per se, but dozing off the center. Just dozing off when I heard the truck rip up and a bunch of Then the shooting started. Now they probably didn't know I was there. I was parked on a different road, hadn't realized I was walking as close as I had for a second. But I still don't like being in the area when a bunch of drunken yahoos are shooting off guns, especially when I was fairly certain they were shooting in my direction. So I put the dog on a tight leash and got down to the next story is from a guy in the shore. I was out walking around the bush hunting for opportunities. I walked through a bit of valley as to take a shortcut to get to another area when I came across a man standing on the trail with a AR-15 and a ready position. Instantly, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. Instinctively knowing this wasn't suicide. Hey, just out bird hunting. How are you doing? Fine. Hunting deer. Deer season wasn't over. AR-15s are not legal for deer, and he wasn't dressed for deer season. As a matter of fact, he looked homeless, hadn't changed his clothes or bathed or shaved for several days, obviously, and looked emancipated. Think of the scariest 50-year-old meth addict you could think of, and put an AR-15 in his hands, and you're probably nervous. Do you know the best way for me to go find some birds? Well, I imagine you might find some bad in His voice got noticeably sharper, back the way, and I obviously looked in. I don't know if there was a meth lab or what just down the trail, but I was certainly happy to leave it. I reported the incident to the sheriff the next day, but I don't know if anyone came. The next story is by Dog. This isn't really that bad, but here's my girlfriend and I were doing an overnight hike on the After hiking some amount of miles, we decided to take another ambulance. We were hanging about 30 feet off the trail, just snoozing a little when I heard a little noise. I sat up in the hammock a bit and saw there was a coyote about 10 feet away. We locked eyes and took off. About the same time, something that sounded a bit bigger took off from the other side of us. We decided to have it and kept going. About 5 minutes down the trail, we came upon a black bear cub and scared it off by accident. The next story is from MT_String. In the late 1980s, I was in the woods. Two friends and I went camping in Central. Two of us were working for parts of the so we were able to camp for 3 weeks instead. Both of us had done a lot of camping. For me, I grew up camping on almost every single vacation all over the state. For the other friend that was with us, this was her first time. We were camping at the Oak area, which was empty that weekend. It was quieter and a little more isolated than the regular campsites. Later in the afternoon, on the second day of the trip, we were all sort of spread out in areas. We were within shouting distance of the I was going to survive. Every now and then, I kind of feel like someone's watching me. I'd look around, see a deer cover, and then shrug it off and go back to what I was doing. Later on, around sunset, we had a bonfire started. One of the rangers who lived on site about a quarter-mile away came over with a truckload of fire and lit that. We all sat around talking for a while. Well, after dark, we could suddenly hear the probably a bunch of rangers moving along one of the trails a couple miles away. Since the trails were closed at sunset, the ranger and the drove off to shoot them back to the campsites. My other friend and I were relaxing around the fire, talking, mostly enjoying the night and music playing. All of a sudden, the hair stood up in the back, and out of the blue, I tried to leave it. I did the same thing for a friend when I was scared. Then I glanced over to her just as she glanced at me. She said, "Do you feel that?" I said, "Yeah. Maybe we better rip them up." We both felt like we were dead, but had no idea what. We started walking in the pathway, not halfway, and simultaneously broke into a tent. We reached the car and jumped in off it. I sat there for a minute, feeling like it was totally inadequate for whatever. We both sat looking straight ahead. We were too afraid to look around. I did have a feeling that somewhere in my head down the road, I'd see something that looked like it was. I don't know how long we sat there. It was probably just a few minutes, but it felt like forever. Then it just left. We could actually feel it going away. A few minutes after that, the other two came back. We kind of laughed it off afterwards, but I'll tell you, I've never been that scared before since. I've faced a lot of things in my life, and nothing has so completely terrified me like that. I don't know what it was, but I'm still convinced that we were in terrible hands. The next story is from Tay. Finally, something I can A few years ago, a group of friends and I went camping. The campground we wanted to go to was full, so we ended up camping deep into the forest, several miles away from any other campers. Well, the first night we woke up and it sounded like traditional. I don't know how to describe it, but I got the feeling that something was very wrong. It was like the feeling you get when something bad happens. And the sound didn't sound like it was coming from anywhere. It was so anyway, we were coming. first night, we decided to go see if we could find any other campers near us that may have heard those noises the previous night. We literally saw no signs of life anywhere around us. We were in a somewhat clear part of the forest, so if anyone camped near us, we would have seen them. We were still freaked out, but decided it was probably nothing, so we spent another night. That night, we woke up at the same time with loud music, but it sounded closer this time. We also felt like something was just wrong. We were extremely freaked out. We were too freaked out to go to sleep, so we just stayed in our bed all night. The next day, we woke up and decided to pack up and see the other campground. And it was. We stayed there and nothing else happened. To this day, I don't really have an explanation for what that was. I don't understand how we would not see any other campers, why they would have moved in the middle of the night. We also weren't on tribal land. My best friend, who was one of the campers, was not a Christian, and she said that the music was similar to music that she heard in tribal dances and rituals. I'm still freaked out about the whole ordeal. It's hard to explain. My body is just telling me that something is very important. The next story is from KMIA Official. When I was younger, around 14 or 15 years old, my family used to camp at the local state park. Every night, my friend and I would walk through the woods. We called this the ritual. This Friday, we decided to walk further in the woods than usual. We had flashlights, and we tried to navigate the woods with them turned off as a game. We were about half a mile from the nearest campsite when we heard soft whistling. Obviously, we turned on the flashlights and spun around. We didn't see anything, so we kept walking, and we heard it again. This time, we stopped and looked around before deciding just to head back to the campsite. That's when we see what's actually doing the whispering. It's a lady crawling on the ground whispering random words. She was wearing dark clothes and was covered in dirt. When she saw that we noticed her, she stood up and declared that she is just looking for her campsite. We ended up walking her back to the campground and tried helping her find her route. It turns out she was just super drunk and high and got lost trying to find that. Her friends didn't even notice that she was missing. And if we didn't go that far into the woods, she probably would have been lost all day. Pretty creepy. This one is more realistic. It's by Sam URL Jackson. Went camping in Ginny Springs in Florida about 10 years ago. And at some time during the night, I heard that sound that you hear in movies or TV. A huge truck. I didn't think anything of it. About 10 minutes later, I started hearing lots of people talking outside my tent. So I got out and discovered that I fell on someone's tent kind of close by. They were killed. A helicopter had to come and airlift them out. Next story is by I've posted this before. I was camping in a valley by myself. I stayed late on the trail as it was getting dark. He showed me a local camping spot close to the road to the river, but it was pretty camouflage. I had a fire, drank some beer, and listened to my friend's comedy podcast. I was loud and visible. There was a truck under my top and next to all of my gear as opposed to setting up my tent. The next morning, I made a fire, cracked a beer, and started making breakfast. Then, I noticed that there was a man at the edge of my camp. He kept coming closer, but he never looked directly at me. He was homeless, long ratty beard, and has at least 100 plastic grocery bags tied all over his clothes. I commented about how nice it was. him a beer, but he just turned around. The dude just stood there with his back to me, wandering around. I was beginning to realize that there wouldn't be anything good happening from this, so I had my hairspray and my buck knife super close. You're either going to acknowledge me or he ignored me. I grabbed his bear mace and walked a few steps towards him. He sulked away, and I threw my stuff in my truck and left that for that place really quick. I wonder if he had been watching me during the night, and I thank my laziness for staying in my truck instead of the tent. Alright, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back.